I just read my umpteenth, millionth article on vendor lock-in. And I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes on how I approach vendor lock-in and how you can eliminate or reduce it as much as possible. I've looked at vendor lock-in from a number of different areas. First it was who's your computer company? Is it IBM? Is it Digital? Is it somebody else? Then you start working at the operating system level. Are you going to deploy to Windows? Are you going to deploy to Linux? Are you going to deploy to something smaller like Raspberry Pi? And then you can move on to languages. Back in the day, certain languages ran on Windows, certain languages ran on Linux. So which language were you going to make work? Then you had libraries. There's an endless depth of the rabbit hole you can go down on vendor lock-in or technology lock-in. What I want to talk about is I've seen this many, many times throughout my career. I've been doing this over 35 years, and I think there's a lot of things you can consider and look at when looking to avoid vendor lock-in. Now people are talking about vendor lock-in in the cloud. There's a lot of people out there that spew a lot of FUD about, oh, don't get logged into one cloud or the other, and there's almost no choice. Even if you choose to stay on-prem, you've now chosen a lock-in of some sort, because now you're still locked into whatever technology stack you've chosen for on-prem. So moving to the cloud really doesn't change that formula at all. It just changes how you manage your lock-in. Kubernetes, for example, is probably one of the world's best platforms to reduce, again, not eliminate, vendor lock-in of any type. It's an open source project. You can run it on-prem. You can run it in pretty much any cloud you want to. I think it may be some of the on-prem people trying to scare you away from cloud service providers. I'm really not sure, but Kubernetes allows you to mix and match your operating systems, mix and match your languages, and really build the solution you need to. I think it's a huge value, and of course Google, being the creator of Kubernetes, I think is a fantastic place to run Kubernetes in the cloud. What we did on a project with over 100 different developers across a couple time zones was, this is a project I was involved with several years ago. We built, and I was on this team, called COSI, the Common Operating System Interface. And it was a very disciplined development organization where we were the only team allowed to call any operating system method, routine, interface, whatever you want to call it, a library. Allocate memory, you had to talk to us. Free memory, you had to talk to us. Write a disk block, had to talk to us. And the point of that was there was over 1.5 million lines of code written in C at the time, and we had to move from VMS to a Linux operating system at some point in the development, and that took 1 month, because all we had to do was take that one library of common operating system interfaces and port it from VMS to Linux. The rest of the application just ran. So the idea here is very similar. There's a lot of cloud services out there, emails, queuing, pub/sub, whatever databases, document databases, whatever you need, a lot of cloud service providers will sell you and let you use. And by definition, that does get you locked into their service. And that's what each one of them are hoping you do. So obviously, you can't eliminate, but to reduce that lock-in, really what you do is you build that interface layer. Anytime, a modern application today, you're going to call, say, a pub/sub method or service, you just write an operating system or a interface to that, an abstraction layer, and allow the rest of your application to use that. That way, if you ever have to change, you're really just making the change in one single place instead of in every piece of your application that uses that functionality. Again, it's really all about reducing, not eliminating lock-in, like many other things. Here at Cloudbakers and Quinix, we have lots of experts that would be happy to talk to you about this, so please feel free to reach out. Thanks for listening.